Bomma le botate, molokoloko wa dirutegi o tla tsena mo nakwaneng ye kopana. Le kgopelwa go ema.
Dames en here, die akademiese prosessie sal nou inbeweeg. U word versoek om asseblief op te staan.
Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession will now enter. You are kindly requested to stand.
By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I hereby constitute this assembly as a legal congregation of the University of Pretoria. During this assembly, degrees and diplomas with all associated rights and privileges will be conferred and awarded on the candidates whose names appear in the program. Please take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to join us in a silent prayer or meditation to give thanks to the achievements of our students. Thank you. I'd like to welcome the Deputy Dean, Professor Barak, Ms. Peterson, on the enrollment of students. And I would also like to welcome our students, represented by the General Secretary. I'd like to welcome all the heads of departments, heads of schools, to all the colleagues that have made a contribution to this, our honorary professors, emeriti that contributed. Welcome to this, including all our teaching staff to this occasion. And of course, I think this is a very special morning for many of us here and those that are at home who couldn't be with us. I feel very honored for us to be in this joyous event to celebrate the achievements of our students. We are living in South Africa, so lights go off without any notice. So I believe you will bear with us. We're trying the best that we can, but it's out of control. And I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, that as we prepare ourselves for this, and most importantly, we will celebrate, we will be happy for our students, and let us do that within the limits. I know that there are people who get so excited that they just turn this into a disco floor. So this is a very respectable ceremony. Be happy, but just exercise limits. We would be happy to work with you. We have 182 graduates today, and 15 of these are our PhDs, those with doctoral qualifications, and it's a big achievement for the faculty to produce 15 PhDs. Do we want to congratulate them? Our graduates today, you are part of a cohort that has enjoyed many difficulties. We went through COVID, you were still around. We went through online and remote and hybrid learning, all different kinds of learning modalities. But you stood fast, and you made it today, and we celebrate you. And we know that it was not easy, but the transition has worked out. And while the days, of wearing masks and keeping a distance are over, we now appreciate that we will, enjoy our life. We'll enjoy what we need. So the University of Pretoria, ladies and gentlemen, we are a big university. We are a special university. And you have experienced this as our graduates, that we are very proud that you have overcome these challenges. It was incredible. And today, just enjoy the moment, as I said earlier. And the faculty, this Economic and Management Sciences, comprises of many experts, many people who are trained to produce the kinds of graduates that we have. And as I said earlier, we also thank them for producing these undergraduates and postgraduates for this. And this is one of our oldest faculties. It started somewhere, there's a story about the town, I read it last time. But we have very reputable alumni that came out of this faculty, many CEOs of big companies, and we know that these are role models. These are top achievers. You are top achievers, and you will follow in the footsteps. And our performance in this faculty, one of the flagship, I just wonder where other universities are, because for many years, we occupy the top spot in the Chartered Accountants initial test competence, and we are truly proud of this achievement, because we know that accountants that we produce here, you're not going to defraud the system now, because you are the top, so you should know So don't use your knowledge to play people around, you know. But we are truly indebted to our academics. I know Professor Johan Oberholster made a big contribution in this, together with others in the department. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the faculty. It is a flagship faculty. We do very important work, you know, supply chain. We do some of the big programs. We are now into technology. As you know, we have Sachi chairs on tax policy and governance, and even the Reserve Bank takes us seriously. We have a chair of monetary economics. We do many things. The Albert Luthuli Center for Responsible Leadership, because leadership is a big problem in this country and elsewhere. So let us try and keep training the nation to become responsible leaders. One of the big achievements of this faculty, we have a prestigious international accreditation with the Association of Advanced Collegiate Schools of Business, which lists only 780 academic institutions across the world. And we are a very unique faculty in that in South Africa we are the only one recognized by this. And there are many successes I can speak about. But today we want to address you, our graduates, that you are now going to get into the world. Some of you will stay with us and continue further. And then you are now going to be our alumni. And you know, when you are an alumni, that means you will be working either as an entrepreneur or, you know, or be employed, earning a little bit of money. So when you have a bit of spare money, you know, just a bit of spare money, just remember to make a contribution as an alumni to your university. We know that, you know, times are tough, the economy is bad, but a small contribution that you make helps us to help other students to be where you are. And you know what I'm talking about. You've been here for a number of years. That let us try and develop the spirit of giving. And as I say many times, we have developed the culture of asking people for money, but for a good cause. So you will now ascend the stage, and I know that from time to time, when names are read, there are so many distinctions that come through, and I hope I'll be proven wrong this time that it will be more men than women obtaining or who have earned these distinctions. Now, as I conclude, because we don't want to be frustrated by load shedding, for you listening to me non-stop, we are here to celebrate you, as I said. We are here to celebrate the great achievement that the University of Pretoria has made. And we know that you will go into communities, into different professions, and make us proud. And I also wish to thank your parents and your guardians and the sponsors that have, you know, made a huge contribution for you to be here. I know as universities, we make people work very hard here. And then you develop all kinds of, you know, issues within yourself about the academic workload, about a range of other things. But I'm very excited that the future looks bright, and let us celebrate it. And I'm sure that we will enjoy the University of Pretoria. I thank you. I will now request the Dean to introduce to me the candidates whose names appear in the program.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the supervisors will now introduce the doctoral candidates.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Madison Lee Brinkley, who complied with the requirements for the PhD degree in a thesis investigating distressed venture decision-making during turnarounds. During that, the candidate investigated the variables that affect decision-making in distressed, both formally and informally, businesses. Through constructing causal maps, the study identified several personal and external variables that influence decision-making. The study identified reasonable prospect as the dominating variable central to all decision-making during distressed business events. In addition, the study developed a framework which shows that awareness and distress severity impacted the distressed decision-maker's confidence to make decisions and the personal and external variables present during the distressed business event. These factors and variables in turn influenced causal attribution and effectuation and constitute distressed decision-making. The research improved our understanding of decision-making during distressed business events. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree.
I hereby confer the degree, Doctor of Philosophy, with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Philip Mzwaki Dlamini, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Mediating Role of Impulsivity in the Relationship Between Entrepreneurial Intention and the Entrepreneurial Action Stages, prepared under my supervision. In his thesis, the candidate expanded on the role in which the 4 impulsivity dimensions, namely urgency, lack of perseverance, lack of premeditation, and sensation seeking, are likely to affect the relationship between entrepreneurial intention and action. The moderation effect of age, gender, and years in business in this relationship was also determined. Through this study, a variety of conceptual frameworks and models were tested. Overall, the mediated model, whereby the dimensions of impulsivity linked entrepreneurial action, intention to the 3 stages of entrepreneurial action, fit the data. Furthermore, the moderated mediation effect of age, gender, and years in business was detected in some paths between entrepreneurial intention and the stages of entrepreneurial action. This transdisciplinary research contributes not only to entrepreneurship, but also to the field of psychology. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree, Doctor of Philosophy, with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Bianca Lizelle Frost, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy, with a thesis titled Running Events in a Crisis Context, a Sport Consumer Marketing Perspective, prepared under the supervision of Professor Elizabeth de Prieur and myself as co-supervisor, Prof. Yolanda Jordan. In her thesis, the candidate investigated emotional and behavioral aspects of sport event participation, specifically running events, prior to and during phases related to the unique COVID-19 crisis. The study was conducted in 3 parts, with the first 2 applying a novel ethnography among an online community of marathon runners, utilizing both inductive and deductive qualitative research methods. The first part focused on self-expressiveness and showed that event participants derive a deeper sense of happiness or eudaimonia from marathon event participation, which results in positive marketing outcomes, particularly authentic electronic word-of-mouth communication. The second part showed that brand love is enduring during a crisis. In the third part of the study, a quantitative trade segmentation approach was employed, which uncovered potential for virtual running events across different segments. The study provides theoretical, practical, and methodological contributions within the field of sport marketing and consumer behavior. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree, Doctor of Philosophy, with all associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Clavis Fuba, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Exploring Networks in the Entrepreneurial Ecosystem for the Business Development of Immigrant Entrepreneurs, prepared under my supervision. In his thesis, the candidate explored the networks of immigrant entrepreneurs in the South African entrepreneurial ecosystem, with particular emphasis on network typologies, how they are developed, their functions, and benefits in business development. The study adhered to the interpretivist philosophy, employing a qualitative research methodology. The study finds that immigrant entrepreneurs develop networks using several methods, with trust being the most frequently used mechanism. Furthermore, referrals emerged as the most salient function of networks in the business development of immigrant entrepreneurs. Finance stands out as the key resource provided by networks. Finally, the study identifies financial growth as the main benefit of networking by immigrant entrepreneurs. The study has practical relevance, informing policy while contributing significantly to the network development literature in emerging economies. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Karen Ganchu, which complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with specialization in entrepreneurship. And she investigated the following. Then in her thesis, she looked at the relationship between entrepreneurial orientation and iconic branding in South Africa's food retailing industry, a consumer perspective. And the candidate investigated consumers' perspective of the relationship between entrepreneurial orientation and iconic branding of an iconic brand in the South African food retailing industry. The study hypothesized that there is a positive relationship between entrepreneurial orientation and iconic branding. The study's research methodology was informed by the view in the literature that an outside-in consumer perspective of a business is an undervalued entrepreneurial resource. That data was collected using an online survey administered to respondents randomly drawn from probable consumers with a brand of interest. The study's empirical findings, based on multivariate analysis, largely support the alternative hypotheses by indicating that consumers perceive a statistically significant difference between entrepreneurial orientation of a brand and its iconic branding. The research improves our understanding of the relationship between entrepreneurial orientation and then iconic branding. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Iketle Arita Maarela. She has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Statistical Methods on the Assumption of Proportional Hazards Regression Model, prepared under the supervision of Professor Den Chen and with myself as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate investigated the performance of survival analysis models generally used as alternatives to the Cox model when the proportional hazards assumption is violated. Iketle compared this to semi-parametric weighted least squares accelerated failure time, or so-called WAFT models. This has not yet been done. The WAFT technique has the distinctive ability to account for homogeneous and heterogeneous data. The various statistical models were assessed through extensive Monte Carlo simulations and applications on real-life data from different fields of study. Findings from the study demonstrate the usefulness of the WAFT approach in overcoming non-proportionality and misspecification of the survival distribution, thereby establishing the superiority of the WAFT model when the assumptions imposed by the most popular models used to study right sensor data, i.e. Cox parametric and AFT regression models, are violated. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on Iketle Arita Maarela.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor in Principal, I introduce to you Ms. Lerato Matlaji, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Exploring the Social Mobility Experiences of Black Africans in Middle-Class Occupations, prepared under my supervision. The study explored the social mobility experiences of Black Africans raised in working and middle-class homes. The study compared the experiences of participants in Black African-dominated and white-dominated organizations. One of the findings of this study was that the social mobility experiences of participants were influenced by requirements in different social class environments and hierarchies prevalent in a particular context. The study also found that participants advance or maintain their positions in the workplace by increasing their capital, thereby acquiring the dispositions required in a specific context or moving between organizations. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you William Lekgoa Mapena, who has complied with the requirements of the degree Doctor of Philosophy with specialization in leadership with a thesis titled The Impact of Ethical Leadership on Organizational Citizenship Behavior, Group Level and Individual Level Mediators, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate investigated the impact of ethical leadership on organizational citizenship behavior, focusing on group level and individual level mediators by adopting social learning theory. The study identified different group level and individual level mediators that promote OCB in employees. The study identifies accountability, transparency, honesty, and responsibility as group and individual level mediators between ethical leadership and organizational citizenship behavior. The study finds that no specific behavior can be categorized only as existing at a group or individual level. It concludes that the ethical leadership style of leaders positively impacts the organizational citizenship behavior of employees in an organization. The study expands the knowledge of ethical leadership and organizational citizenship behavior in the context of South Africa in the water sector. The study further contributes to the literature on possible sequential mediating effects of the ethical leadership organizational citizenship relationship. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Sebilaro Sybil Lebogang Nsholo Mosopeo, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled A Brand Communication Model for Micro and Small Enterprises in South African Townships, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate explored the brand communication practices that township entrepreneurs engage in to build and develop their enterprises as brands. Following an exploratory sequential mixed method research approach, the candidate used thematic analysis and structural equation modeling to develop a brand communication model for micro and small enterprises. In analysis, the 8 themes that emerged from the qualitative data are used to develop a valid and reliable survey instrument to collect quantitative data to be statistically analyzed. The results illustrate, amongst others, that brand identity plays a mediation role in the developed model. Customer service emerges as an important brand communication practice, followed by the owners of enterprises, while customers perceive service to comprise customer experience and reliability. The research contributes to marketing communication management from an African perspective. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Rowan Mole, who has complied with requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled A Stakeholder Approach Towards a Consolidated Framework for Measuring Business Incubator Efficacy, prepared under my supervision. In his thesis, the candidate explored the elements underpinning incubator efficacy in South Africa and how it is being measured. This exploratory qualitative study involved interviewing incubator managers of various incubator types nationwide. The study proposes a framework for measuring the efficacy of incubators, identifying and defining two perspectives on incubator efficacy, namely the business growth and economic development perspectives. The thesis adds to existing incubator theory in finding that significant conflict exists between incubators and their funders, leading to the identification of incubator stakeholder conflict as a key factor related to incubator efficacy. This study's uniqueness lies in the framework proposed to measure incubator efficacy, identifying incubator stakeholder conflict, as well as a new typology for categorizing South African incubators. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Stanley Sitkolile Ntakumba, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with specialization in leadership, with a thesis titled Responsible Leadership and Interorganizational Partnerships, a Relational Social Constructionist Leadership Lens, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate explored how relational leadership practices occur in interorganizational partnerships and the implications for responsible leadership theory. The following 5 themes emerged as the most prominent with higher frequency levels: influencing, agreeing, changing, identifying, and recognizing. The relational leadership practices were analyzed regarding the social construction, relationality, and purpose of leadership, and the Ubuntu perspective. The thesis contributes knowledge by identifying relational leadership practices not adequately addressed in extant leadership literature. It signals the collective nature of relational leadership practices in interorganizational partnerships. It highlights the Ubuntu perspectives of African intersubjective values of humaneness and harmony as closely aligned to the core tenets of responsible leadership. Lastly, it proposes a responsible leadership as practice theoretical framework that could be used to advance the theory and practice of leadership. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Sisa Siba, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Uncertainty Related to Infectious Diseases and Forecastability of the Volatility of Financial Assets, prepared under my supervision. In the 5 papers comprising the thesis, the candidate investigated the predictive power of daily infectious diseases-related uncertainty on the volatility of various assets using the heterogeneous autoregressive realized variance model based on 5-minute interval intraday data. The study finds strong evidence that contagious diseases are important in forecasting the volatility of various asset classes. Understandably, the results have important implications for investors, speculators, and portfolio managers during periods of high uncertainty. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree, Doctor of Philosophy with all its associate rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Batandwa Leratu Similani, the recipient of the PPS Awards for the top marketing management student with a doctoral degree, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Role of Reference Groups as Credible Sources in African Women's Natural Hair Care Consumption Behavior, prepared under my supervision and the supervision of Dr. Tinashe T. Arundoro. In this thesis, the candidate investigated the effects of source credibility on the consumption behavior related to African women's natural hair care products. The proliferation of African women's natural hair care products globally and in South Africa necessitates a better understanding of reference group source credibility in Black African women's natural hair care consumption and purchase intentions. The study reveals that a female family members and a social media influencer's source credibility subdimensions play different roles in influencing the purchase intentions of women's natural hair care products. The research assists marketers in better understanding the direct and indirect effects of credible sources on African women's consumption behavior of natural hair care products. Mr. Interim and Vice Chancellor and Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidates.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, I introduce to you Alet Snyman, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with specialization in entrepreneurship, with a thesis titled Investigating the Relationship Between Project Success and Entrepreneurial Performance, prepared under my supervision. The candidate contributed to the development of interdisciplinary research that addressed the gap in contemporary literature, which has not yet been definitively investigated the relationship between entrepreneurship and project practice. The study's objective was to give context to the formative power of project success by analyzing corporate entrepreneurial performance from a more dynamic perspective. In addition, since risk is a fundamental factor in the successful completion of a project and how it influences the organization's performance, project risk was presented as a moderator or moderating variable for the relationship between the proposed constructs. Through quantitative research, the data were empirically tested through then a structural equations model to explain the variance in the dependent variable, namely entrepreneurial performance. The main results indicated that positive relationships exist between project success and entrepreneurial performance. Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Interim Vice Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the Master's degree of Administration, Public Management and Policy. Shioma Amayeshi. Shoba Govender. Nozipu Mulikwe. Zinhle Swala. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Commerce, Business Management. Cecilia Lawrence. Ursula Shikati. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Commerce, Economics. Stenia Korsa. Desiree Kunene.
I don't want to graduate.
Mark Mpnganyira. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Commerce, Financial Management Sciences. Abraham Pieterse. Kumbelu Chibase. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidate has complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Commerce, Informatics. Rajat Kasim. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidate has complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Commerce in Statistics, Advanced Data Analytics. Dylan Strydom. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Philosophy, Fraud Risk Management. Yolanda Cairns. Maggie Homo. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidate has complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Philosophy in Business Management, Insolvency and Business Rescue. Anna Hobe. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidate has complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Philosophy in Communication Management, Strategic Communication Management. Makhobane Mohale. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Public Administration. Kense Matiba. Tipelembilu Ndo. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidate has complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Administration, Honours Public Administration and Management. Lehlohonolo Mashao. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Commerce Honours Informatics. Ayanda Matsafu. Leratu Moshabane. Nzingaye Nkomo. Martin Swanepoel. Nishai Virapa. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidate has complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Commerce Honours in Statistics, Statistics and Data Science. Jabulile Nhlapo. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the postgraduate diploma in public management. Mjelani Beloy. Matimba Baloy. Melita Baloy with distinction. Hesi Botman with distinction. Lionel Botsane with distinction. Simpiwe Buthelezi. Vuishwa Kwada. Amanda Humer. Clark Jacobs. Virya Joe. Rebecca Kekana. Ledile Haile with distinction. Warren Corsa with distinction. Marupeng Lebopo. Ntotu Lesotho. Tobile Lusibane. Somisu Marikazela. Wendy Magwaza. Dikaledi Maila with distinction. Pompa Makhaba. Nadipa Malupali. Nomini Mamahlori. Tebohu Mashidi. Zamankwane Masumpa. Ephraim Matabata. Kanyane Matobela with distinction. Homotso Matuwe with distinction. Mhlumiseni Mbata. Pilile Mdleche. Ntombi zonke mehlo makulu. Pumla Menta. Siyanokena mere yohle. Sirekola mfopa with distinction.
Yes, mother, yes.
Aurishis mkatwa with distinction. Snehlantla fortunate mkhize. Nomsa mnisi. Koma molekwa. Libe mopeli with distinction. Tabia Morake. Lesehu Musane. Maria Motibedi. Mponeng Mohlabane. Adiu Mohlung. Sipu Setu Mpungose with distinction. Noma Swazi Mchali. Berenice Miller. Shirana Naidu with distinction. Lutandu Ndakana.
Face me, face me, face me. Yeah. Well done.
Luandile Ndlela. Precious Ndove. Temba Ngubeni. Priscilla Non-Notu. Kenneth Nshangase. Patricia Ntuli. Tabang Nyati. Maputi Pukubye. Ndibaleni Sadiki. Velile Sihevula. Jacqueline Simelane. Zanile Songa. Lavdalia Murongwa Tabana. Modise Klebere. Boishoku Tlong. Tumelu Tlomatsane. Pindile Kwakwe. Bongani Zwane. Mr. Interim Vice-Chancellor and Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Commerce. Brian Shivanga. Gabriela Fuga. Miriam George. Itamaleng Carlo. Penyu Quinana. Mahlatsi Madiba. Bukewa Shalela. Kanyisile Mashlangu. Avela Mhlatuzana. Ngwedu. Raisa Sali. Nanaya Serpong. Vatseba Sit Logelo. Accounting Science. Kelly Adera. Agribusiness Management. Christian Ushik. Business Management. Tatum Barkhuizen. Frank Botha. Avni Daya. Jason De Freitas. Marinda Engelbrecht. Matthew Goldman. Tumisu Korpe. Zandri Labeskaghni. Boitumelu Mahabe. Tijn Meinert. Kiauleboha Moilua. Untiretse Mokuape. Kamve Lichle Ngeba. Dante Norkia. Philippa Schaefer. Iletu Sikade. Gift Visane. Financial Science, Verona Lekoko. Zipozichle Mnete. Zoe Shepperson. Human Resource Management, Esmery Pretorius. Brendan Talliard. Informatics, Information Systems, Yumirai Bala. Caitlin Braga. Michaela Costa. Manisha Cavender. Mohammed Ishmael. Rose Puko Ijera. Yavid Khan. Katlehu Mokonoto. Kumo Moore. Yeraisha Naidu. Quibus Woodendal. Law. Aliyah Dokrat.
Misho wa Sengwe, Misho wa Komati, wa graduator.
Misho Shlongwane. Karabu Kumalu. Jart van der Walt. Non-Tutuzelo Witboy. Marketing Management. Ove Tutandu Peklu Kwayu. Statistics. Nicole Mapia. Daniel Michel. Supply Chain Management. Mirza Kerim. Sifisu Masangu.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us give our graduates a big hand. I told you that there would be more women than men in distinctions. And I would now like to ask our graduates to applaud parents, grandparents, sponsors, spouses, children, everyone that supported you. I ask graduates, I see others are applauding. But it's okay. We have now come to the end of the proceedings, and thankfully load shedding did not embarrass us. And I'm told that there are refreshments outside, but I have not seen them, so don't blame me if there's nothing. But now we are going to ask you to stand and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem. By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I now dissolve this assembly of the University of Pretoria.